Hello, my name is David Velasquez, and I'm currently a student in course 4212, Database Design and Administration, currently taught by Professor Hyman. So in this assignment, I'm going to be presenting the visual benefits of Tableau through the perspective of doing a financial analysis on 6 different companies throughout 8 different time periods. So if you look here at my dashboard, we can see some of the visuals that are going on, and this actually is the origin of the data source. It came from an Excel spreadsheet, and it's actually numbers that are derived from a balance sheet and income statement of the 8 companies throughout the 8 time periods. So we got things like return on sales, return on assets, profits, return on equity, stuff like this. So I picked a couple of the most essential ones and put them together to see what kind of story we can tell through the visualizations. So the way I decided to do this one is I'm going to compare the most successful company, which in this case was Ferris, with the least successful, which was Erie. So by looking at these visuals, we can start getting a picture kind of like what was going on here. So in terms of profits, you can start seeing from round 3 and 4 a big deviation, and it only gets wider, a bit wider through time, except for the end a little bit in terms of profits. Now, down here, we can start seeing a bit of the reasonings of why this was the case. So if we look at SG&A to sales ratio, which is basically saying for every dollar of sales, how much did you pay in sales, general, and administrative expenses. So here we can take a look at this, and this is a summed figure of the 8 periods, so we can still look at it as a scorecard. So the goal here is to be as low as possible. So we can see here that Ferris with a 1.34 versus Erie at 1.52. So in other words, Ferris is being much more efficient with their expenses and squeezing much more sales for every dollar of expenses that they have. For example, down here with assets to turnover ratio, we can see, again, this is over the span of the 8 periods, and this is, can be seen as a scorecard, so to speak, and the goal is to be as high as possible. 9.24 versus 8.25, almost a whole unit apart. So this is saying basically for every dollar of assets, how much sales are you getting, right? So Ferris is being, again, much more efficient, squeezing much more out of every dollar of assets. And then we can look at leverage. So the goal here is to have the smallest number possible. You don't want to be over leveraged. And we can see that Ferris with that 16.2 versus Erie at 16.7. So on every front, Ferris was more efficient, and it can be definitely seen here through the end number of profits. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on a time period, because when you look at this visual, you can see that at around time period 5, Ferris really starts getting a head start. So let's focus our attention just on period 5. So here we can see that Ferris is getting a good head start. Profits at almost $20 million. Sales at about $223 million, already in first place. And let's look at a couple of the reasons why. So just looking at period 5, we can take a look here at the SG&A. Ferris is being very efficient. So just for period 5, we can now look at this as a percentage, this ratio. So basically Ferris is spending 16 cents of expense for every dollar of sales versus 19 cents for every dollar of sales. So that's a 3 cents difference for every dollar of sales, and this really builds up, which again explains the deviation of the profits at the top. And then we can take a look at asset turnover ratio, and Ferris again being very efficient in period 5. So for every dollar of assets, Ferris is producing $1.13 in sales versus 94 for every dollar of assets. And same kind of story here with leverage. I mean, already Erie's at 2.2 versus 1.9, and the goal here is to be at a small number. You don't want to be over leveraged to finance your operations. Okay, and for the last visualization, is going to be in terms of the filtering slide. We've been using filtering boxes, dynamic boxes until now. So we'll use a slide to show some stuff. So this is an interesting way to see at what point or by how much did Ferris beat the other teams, or by how much more were they profitable. So we can start seeing that, down here in the, low millions, everybody's in the game, everybody is at least this profitable. As we start itching up this number, we start seeing that more and more teams start falling off. They're just not able to be as profitable, not running their operation as efficiently. So we can start seeing, interestingly, here at 20 million, we have 4 companies. At 23,900,000, we have 2 companies. And finally here, at about 28,600,000 is where Ferris is basically in a league of its own. So from 28.6 million to 40 million, it's all Ferris. So Ferris, in other words, another way to look at this is you can subtract the 40 million minus the 28.6 million, which is about 11.5 million. Well, that's by how much Ferris was able to be more profitable than all its competitors, which is very impressive to say the least. So in this presentation, we were able to use interactive dashboards, dynamic boxes, as well as dynamic slides to easily show the performance and success of one company versus the other in an effective and very easy way. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.